Hey guys, so what we're going to do today is a quick review of the new iPad mini as it's just been released today. If you watched the video that we posted earlier on today, it would have been the unboxing of the new iPad mini, but in case you've missed it, there'll be a link in the video description and I'll also put a link above so you can go ahead and check that out. But taking a look at the iPad mini in a bit more detail, the first thing that you notice with this new product is definitely going to be the overall size of it. It's much smaller than the iPad 2 or the iPad 3, whichever you want to call it, or the iPad with Retina display, as I know a lot of people call it as well. If I just pull one of these out so you can have a look at that as well. So on the left hand side over here we have the iPad 3 or the iPad with Retina display, however you want to call it, and this is the iPad mini over here. The new mini features a 7.9 inch screen, which is much more ergonomical. It fits in your hand so much better when you're up and about. You're able to sort of have it a lot more comfortably situated in your hand while you use it with your other hand, which is definitely something I like about it, which is one of the reasons that I've gone ahead and picked one of these up myself. The iPad over here, which is the iPad with Retina display, the previous model to this one over here, features a 9.7 inch screen, but obviously because of the much bigger screen and the much bigger sort of processors and things that this one has on the left hand side, that increases the weight. This iPad over here weighs in at 1.46 pounds, which is an incredibly sort of heavy iPad or tablet when it's compared to this new one over here, which only comes in at 0.68. So it's incredibly light, less than half the weight of the previous model, which is definitely a plus. And also, of course, as we said, the screen comes in at 7.9 inches, whereas the screen over here comes in at 9.7. In terms of the materials that they've been made from, they're still made from exactly the same materials. The new iPad fit on the left-hand side there, or the iPad 3 compared to the iPad mini, still made from that aluminium body, which is really nice and durable. But of course, the iPad mini has been finished to a much sort of higher standard, so it's much smaller, but it's also much more durable, which is definitely something that we like. With the diamond cut shaved finish that you can see along the sides there, that I'll give you some close-ups of later on in the video. So taking a look at the dimensions of the two different iPads over here, the new iPad mini comes in at a height of 200mm or 7.87 inches in height. The width across is 134.7mm in width or 5.3 inches. The depth is 7.2mm in depth or thickness, and in terms of inches, that's 0.28 inches, so it's incredibly thin. Moving on to this one over here, which is the new iPad, or the iPad 3 as some people call it. This one over here, the height of it is the same height and the same width as the iPad 2, but in terms of what sizes those are, that's 241.2mm or 9.50 inches in height. The width of it is 185.7mm or 7.31 inches in terms of the width across. The depth of this one is 9.4mm or 0.37 inches. I'm sure a lot of you know that the new iPad, or the iPad with Retina display, is slightly thicker than the iPad 2. That's due to just the sort of the more features that they've packed into this new iPad over here for you. So that's taking a look at the different sizes of these two. But as I said, this one comes in an incredibly seriously noticeable amount lighter and also thinner and smaller than the other one, which is just a lot easier to carry around with you, especially if you're traveling or going on flights and things like that. It's much more ideal to have in your bag. So taking a look at the display now, the new iPad, as we said, features the 7.9 inch screen, LED backlit of course, with the multi-touch technology that's been sort of released on all of the different iPad ranges, which is good. The resolution of the new iPad mini is the same resolution as the iPad 2, not the iPad with Retina display, so it's important to mention that this iPad does not feature Retina display. It's the same resolution as the iPad 2, except the new mini has a slightly higher PPI or pixels per inch than the previous model, or the iPad 2, which is slightly better. So it is a smaller product, but it actually has a much clearer screen than the iPad 2, but nowhere near as clear as the iPad with Retina display, so it's worth mentioning that. This one has the pixels, in terms of the pixels of the iPad mini, it's 1024 pixels by 768, but the iPad with Retina display is 2048 by 1536, which is a much higher pixel range, but that's of course because this one features the Retina display. Taking a look at the processors that these two different iPads have, the iPad mini features the same processor as the iPad 2, which is the A5 chip, and the iPad with Retina display features the A6 chip. So there's a slight difference in performance there, but you're still getting a dual-core tablet, which is definitely important to mention, so it can still keep up. And we'll also include a little speed test at the end of this video, so you guys can get a good idea of how different the two different speeds on these two iPads is. Alright, so of course taking a look at the two different cameras that these two different iPads have. The cameras on the front of the iPads, which is definitely going to be the first ones worth talking about. So these are the cameras that you're going to use for self-portraits or if you're going to be using FaceTime calling. The iPad mini, again, it features a lot of the same features as the iPad 2, but in the case of the camera, the iPad mini actually has a more superior camera when compared to the iPad 2. The front-facing camera on the iPad mini is a 1.2 megapixel camera, and it can record HD videos in 720p. The previous iPad 2 was a VGA camera, which was very, very terrible for calling and also pretty crap for using for FaceTime as well, so it's nice to see that they've improved the quality of the front-facing camera. But in terms of the iPad with Retina display, the camera is the same, the front-facing camera in this case, 1.2 megapixels, again 720p, so it's nice to see that these two iPads actually have the same clarity when it comes to FaceTime calls, which is definitely a plus. You also get face detection thrown in for your FaceTime calls, and also the backside lighting or illumination, which improves the lighting conditions when you're in low lighting areas while you're using the front-facing camera. Taking a look at the back-facing camera, or the iSight camera, again the iPad mini features a much more superior backside camera when compared to the iPad 2, which is really good. It features a 5 megapixel camera with autofocus. You still get your face detection, backlight illumination, or the backside illumination, which improves the lighting conditions in low conditions, which is nice to see. And it also has the hybrid IR filter, and also in terms of aperture it's 2.4. So these two iPads, the iPad mini and the iPad with Retina display, have the exact same cameras front and back, which is really nice to see. So it means that you're going to be getting, as we said in my previous unboxing video, little is actually more. So you're getting a smaller product, a nice price point, with a lot of the same features as the much bigger iPad, which is amazing considering how small the new one is. So what I've got rolling around for you right now is just a couple examples of the sort of picture quality that you can expect from the iPad mini. You can see from these pictures, this is just a couple of images that I shot in my back garden, that the iPad mini, once you've used the tap to focus button in shoot mode if you're shooting a video, or tap to focus if you're using a picture mode, you can use the autofocus feature as well. The result that you get on the images is incredibly well sort of presented. The images are unsurprisingly clear considering the sort of device that you're taking the pictures from. Notoriously, the iPad tablets in general have been sort of unanimously known for taking terrible pictures, so this is definitely something nice to see coming from such a tiny product. So I'm just in my garden now. I'm going to do a test of the video and also the audio sort of quality you can expect. But you can see once you're recording, the autofocus isn't auto. You have to actually touch to focus it, so this flower over here. But once I've touched to focus, you can see that it's incredibly detailed. The quality of this camera is incredibly surprising, and the tap to focus makes things really easy to sort of follow. There's my little cat right there. Was a kitten when I started this channel, but it's quite big now. I'll definitely mention that the size of the screen makes it much more easier to tap to focus while you're recording. So much easier. If the iPad screen was much bigger than this, as it is on the iPad 2 and also the new iPad, it makes things a bit more tricky when you're trying to focus while you're recording. So now taking a look at the video calling or video recording that you're going to get with the new iPads. Again, the new iPad mini features full 1080p HD video recording, and it also has the tap to focus, the video stabilization, and also the backside illumination. So again, it improves the quality of the video in those low lighting conditions, and also as I mentioned previously, it's got the face detection as well. So the camera on the iPad mini is much better than the iPad 2, and again, it's going to be the same camera that you're getting on the iPad with Retina display. So considering the price point between these two, there's not really a huge amount of difference besides the processor and of course the screen size and the dots per inch in terms of the sort of resolution that you're getting on the screen size. But in terms of overall sort of differences between the two, there's not a whole lot between it, so this is definitely a really good buy. Of course, there's two different models that you can go for with the iPads, as well as the iPad with Retina display and the iPad mini. You can go for the Wi-Fi editions, or you can go for the Wi-Fi and 3G. In my case, I've gone for just the Wi-Fi one, so there's no need to put SIM card in it. So I can just simply tether the internet from my iPhone 5 if I want to use it while I'm out and about, so this made sense to me. But you need to keep that in mind. In terms of how much you're going to be paying if you want the Wi-Fi and 3G models, it's normally about £100 more than the model without the Wi-Fi. So this one is £269.99. So if you want Wi-Fi and 3G, it's going to be £369.99, and that's for the 16 gig. Of course, another big change that they've done is going to be the connectors on the back of this iPad. I believe Apple have released the iPad with Retina display, a newer model that's exactly the same as the previous one, except it now also features the Lightning connection that the iPad minis and the iPhone 5 has. In the case of this iPad with Retina display over here, it still features the standard 30-pin adapter that was found on the iPhone 4s and all the previous iPads before that. But the new ones, as I'm told, features the new Lightning connections. But there's no difference with the iPad with Retina display. They've just changed the port on the bottom. This is what I've heard, and this is also what I've seen in some of the stores. But if you guys think any different, be sure to leave the comments down below to let me know. The next important point, of course, is definitely going to be the battery life of these things. Surprisingly, even though you're getting so much in something so little, the battery life is actually still exactly the same. In terms of the sort of surfing the web, browsing, watching videos, listening to music, you're going to get a straight 10 hours from the iPad mini, which is the same as the iPad with Retina display. Using it to surf the web alone while you're using mobile data, if you've got the 3G edition, you're going to get about 9 hours, and you can charge it through your either computer or the USB adapter that you get inside the box. So of course, one of the best features that they brought across to the iPad mini, which I definitely love, that wasn't on the iPad 2, is going to be Siri. So let's hopefully see if Siri works as well as it does on the iPhone 5. Who let the dogs out? So Siri definitely does work. So moving on from there, anyways, we'll ask Siri one more question. Where's the nearest Chinese restaurant?
I found 8 Chinese restaurants. 2 of them are fairly close to you.
So Siri does work. Sorted out all the Chinese restaurants closest to me in terms of distance, which is pretty sweet. So you can see that on the iPad mini you are definitely getting Siri working as well as it does on the iPhone 5, so that's going to be definitely a bonus feature that you can sort of look forward to on this new iPad. So with the operating system on the iPad mini, you're getting iOS 6, which means you're getting a nice responsive operating system with the notification center that drops down to give you information on anything that's going on the iPad with the apps that you've got installed, but it's a new iPad so there's no notifications. You also get the multitasking, so you're able to flick between apps, which is quite nice. But one thing I was disappointed with the iPad mini with was that it doesn't feature on your camera the sort of panoramic mode that we've sort of gotten used to on the iPhone 5. If you go into options, it just has the option to sort of add the grids to the images or take them off, but there isn't a panoramic sweep mode, which I was hoping that they would be. So that's one thing to keep in mind for. But what they have done is you can see that they've put the record button and the shoot button. Doesn't matter if you're in video mode or picture mode, the record and shoot button is put to the side there, which means that you're able to sort of hold it properly while you're taking pictures rather than having to try and press the button down there, which is quite nice. Same thing happens if you put it into the sideways mode. You're able to also take pictures from the side there, which is quite nice. So that's definitely something I like, but it's a shame that they've not included the panoramic sweep mode on the iPad mini. So from there, taking a look at the buttons on the iPad itself, they've still gone with the same designs. You can see with the home button over there, same home button there, physical home button on the iPad mini. If I turn it around, you've still got the same buttons along the sides. You've got your volume up, volume down, and also the button to put it into silent or vibrate or loud or whatever you want to call it, and also the power button there. They're nice, springy and responsive, so you can feel them really, really easily and use them quite well, which is definitely nice. And also, if I just put these two iPads next to each other, one thing that you'll definitely notice is, although the iPad mini is much, much smaller than the iPad with Retina display, you can see that the framing or the bordering around the actual screen itself is much less. The framing around here is quite chunky, which is quite annoying, so you're getting such a sort of a small screen on such a big unit. They could have probably expanded the screen on the iPad with Retina display slightly because of how much space has been wasted around there. If that's down to sort of the components that are inside the unit, then fair enough. But on the iPad mini, I feel that they've utilised the space around the framing and around the body of the actual iPad itself quite well. Nice thin borders, gives you a nice good sense of a sort of clarity and size while you're using the screen, which is something I really like. My vote definitely goes to the iPad mini, but let me know what you guys think in the video description down below. And this is Chris from Behind the Tutorials. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. Take care till next time.